Hello, hello, and welcome to Appalachian Arcana's first bonus episode.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about this episode. We recorded some ghost stories from visitors to our booth at VHCC Comic Con last weekend in Abingdon, Virginia. And some of these stories are really spooky.
So the previous episode is our re-recording of a live performance of two stories that Cam and I told. And then we, throughout the day, just asked people if they wanted to come up and share something that they experienced.
Yeah, because a lot of the attendees were themselves from Abingdon. So they had lots of stories. It's like we said, it's an old town full of old buildings. People had some experiences.
Yeah, one person did see the ghost horse, but we didn't get to interview her, sadly.
No, her booth was a little bit too busy.
So next time you can find us at Elder Brew coming up this Thursday.
May 3rd.
And we're going to be talking about different things. I'm going to do Weird Wildlife, the Ancient Appalachian Mysterious Biology. And Cam, what are you going to cover?
The Georgia Guidestones.
Awesome.
Which is, that's going to be a bit of a trip. They inspire a lot of conspiracy theories, so
I like that you're going pretty far south in Appalachia. You know, give Georgia some love.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I didn't know about them at the time, but I used to live in Athens, so I lived, about 50 minutes away from the Guidestones, and I'd never heard of them, and I wish I had.
Well, next time we go down there to visit, we'll have to check them out.
We have to check them out. So, without much further ado, we're going to play for you some of your own stories. And if you have a ghost story or other paranormal or weird experience you'd like to share with us, or, if you have an idea for something that we should check out on the show, please send us an email at appalachianarcana@gmail.com.
Enjoy! Yes, so you were telling.
Okay, so at Tennessee High, there's actually a couple of ghost stories. And the most famous one, I guess, is actually a ghost named Agnes. And there's a couple of different stories floating around about what exactly happened. There was one, she was killed on prom night. I can't remember some of the other different ways they said that she died. However, there have been multiple witnesses who have claimed to see a high school girl around. They've claimed, when you're in certain rooms, just, going about by yourself, you just get this feeling, not like a bad feeling, just like you're not alone right now. And whenever people get that feeling, they usually blame it on Agnes. I always heard about that. I heard about the ghost train.
Ghost train?
Ghost train. Yes, people have claimed that in the front.
I've heard about the ghost train.
Okay.
Good, yeah. People in the front hallway where the main desk and everything, the main offices, principal offices are, people have claimed to hear, just clear as a bell, a train just barreling down, and they said that it was very unsettling and bizarre, which obviously, but I feel like there's one more.
So this is buzz about the school, everybody knows.
Yes.
Well, we have to tell the story because that's the kind of thing that we live a block and a half away from Tennessee High.
Really? Okay.
Yes. So that's cool. That's really cool.
There was one teacher there, Mr. Jenkins. He was older. He's retired now, and I hate that because he would be a perfect person to ask this stuff about. He actually was the first teacher to talk about the ghost train, because there are teachers there who will talk about, these ghosts and stuff like that. But he was the one that informed us about the ghost train, and his classroom was actually in that hallway where people heard it. He swore that he heard it too. So,
wow, what could that be? That is amazing.
Yeah, because it's been heard by multiple people, and it's such a bizarre thing.
Hello, young man. So I understand you have a story for us. What are you going to tell us about?
It was a long time ago. I went inside, and him and my mom and my two siblings were outside, and I went back inside. I took my shoes off, and then I looked down the hallway, and there was this, shadowy figure that was in my room. It dashed through the hall and ran into the other room. So I put my shoes on and I ran outside as fast as I could. And there was like, and I'm telling you, there was like no one there. There was no one in the house because we were just in the rooms and everything. Scared the crap.
So you really saw something. You said shadowy figure. Do you mean like, are you sure it was a person or?
Well, there was no one in the house, I can promise you that, but I don't know, it was like a whole black figure that just ran from one room to another room down the hallway.
That's creepy. I can see why you got out of there. So what did you see?
Well, my house that I live in now is probably made in the 30s, and it's an old farmhouse, and it's been redone and stuff. Well, one time we had chickens and stuff, so I was going up to get eggs and stuff. So I went up, and kind of like the chickens were freaking out for some reason, and me and my brother have seen weird, like we've always kind of shared this like weird thing where we'll see something and be like, did you see that? And we're like, yeah, kind of.
Wow.
And we just always kind of shake it off. But no, this time I walked up there and the chickens were being all weird, and I opened the door and they were just like barking and going crazy kind of. And I turned around and like beside my tree there was just this like kind of figure looking thing, and I did a double take and looked at it, and it looked like a little girl in just like one of those like night dresses, like nightgowns. And I kind of freaked out for a second and just kind of closed the door. But I went back home, and my brother was looking at me and he was like, what happened to you? And I was like, I think I just saw a little girl. And he's like, what are you talking about, a little girl? And I was like, I don't know, it looked like a ghost. But he could tell that I was like flushed and pale and stuff, so it freaked me out. But he didn't believe me fully until one Easter we were out at some kind of thing that we were going to, and we came back and my family was over, and the way our house is set up, in the kitchen there's this kind of like island thing that's connected to the door to my room. I was asleep in there, but my cousins were over and my aunt was over. We had this door that was set up to where we had child locks, and you had to squeeze them to open them.
Okay.
And my aunt could not get to the doorway, or she couldn't get the door open. So my brother went to help her, but I was asleep, so she was going to say goodnight to me. And she went to the door, or my brother went to the door, and he opened it, and it kind of like, he felt like it like lifted from his hand, like was taken out of his hand. And he said he thought he saw like an arm with a sleeve, a little arm, like that girl, like going behind the door. And when I was little, I would hide behind that door and scare him, so he thought I was doing it again, because this was years ago. But he looked and saw that I was asleep in my bed, and he was like, okay. And he shut the door and just didn't think anything of it. But my little cousin was sitting next to him at we called it the bar, but it's like a little peninsula basically, because it's not really an island because it's connected to the wall.
Yeah.
But he was sitting at the end, and she was sitting next to him. And with the way they were sitting, you could actually see into the room. And when he sat down next to her, she looked at him and was like, did you see that arm going behind the door? And at the end he was like, yeah, I saw something. So he freaked out about that. But I freaked him out the next day, because when he talked to me about it, I thought that my cousin was in there with me watching TV. So I thought there was someone in there with me. But there wasn't. So it freaked me out. Yeah.
Growing up, things was always crazy. Like
Really?
we had one we would call Casper, because it was kind of a jokester. Like we'd leave, we come home, and we'd have to find the phone. It would be in the deep freezer, or the old voicemail machines, be filled up with static, everything else. And I remember one time in my bathroom right across from it, and my cousin's like, yeah, Casper hasn't done nothing lately, has he? I said, no, but he'll pop back up eventually. He always does. And about 30 minutes later, he's like, well, I'm going to go to the bathroom. He goes in, flips on the light, and the whole shower curtain rod shoots from one side to the other, back to the other one. He flew out, and he wouldn't go to any of the bathrooms in that house for months without a Bible.
Cool. So what do you have to tell us about?
Okay, so this was something that happened during high school. It was just something really weird that occurred. So basically, I was leaving a gym class. I forget what I was leaving for, but I know that I was going to another classroom to get something. But I was walking by one classroom, and then I hear this voice in my ear, like clear as day. I can hear it. It sounded like an older woman. With her dying breath, she was calling out my name. And I stopped for a moment and I backed up and looked inside the classroom to see, like, was someone punking me? But I didn't see anyone at the door, and people were just minding their own business.
Like,
Clearly
how
audible.
did you know it was her last words or something? Like, did that just come with it?
I don't know, it just sounded like she was just very weakly, feebly calling out to me.
I see.
So I was like, what was that? It did freak me out, so I was thinking about it the rest of the day. And I still don't know to this day what it was.